Oh my goodness. When it comes to sales and money, mindset matters. And I am so excited about today's guest on the Straight Talk About Sales podcast. My name is Dr. Nadia Brown. I'm the founder of the Doyen Agency and creator of Straight Talk About Sales. And today, my guest is none other than Payton Moran. Payton is a mom of two, podcaster, speaker, and money mindset mentor. She helps female founders shift out of scarcity mindset so they can grow their business in alignment and abundance. She has a background in financial services and considers herself a multi-passionate serial entrepreneur. She is also the host of the Wired for Wealth podcast, where conscious conversations and money lead to breakthroughs in business. Oh my goodness. Our conversation, so juicy, talk about scarcity mindset, awareness around what gets in our way, how do we move past it, and how do we shift the internal dialogue that ultimately impacts our relationship with money, which can then also impact our ability to sell in a way that we want to. This is a conversation you'll definitely want to tune in. So without further ado, let's get started. Tune in and enjoy. Hi, Payton. I am super excited to have you with us today on the show.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So when we first were introduced, I got so excited that you were a money mindset mentor, because one of the things that I often hear in my work is all these concerns around money, right? I'm afraid of making a lot of money. I'm afraid of sales because, so there's typically that fear of rejection, but then usually right behind that is some fear or some work that needs to be done around money. Even clients who are making good money. So I am super excited about our conversation today. But before we dive into all of that, I would love to just ask you, how did you get into this work?
So it was not intentional, actually. So I worked in the financial services space for about 2 years, and made money from the get-go, and then kind of fell flat and couldn't figure out, what was going on. There was a lot of internal mindset struggles, a lot of self-sabotage, a lot of things feeling like, just misalignment with the fact that I was helping people with their money, but I wasn't addressing it myself. So there was a lot of avoidance in my own situation around money. And so I just started doing the mindset work around money, versus all of the budgeting and the financial literacy skills that I already had. I realized that I needed to go deeper. And once I started doing that work, I started realizing the same things in my clients. We're hashing out a whole financial strategy on a call, and then a month goes by and they still haven't done any of the work. They're not taking action. And so I started realizing that they were having some of those same feelings around money that I was: the avoidance, the fear, the scarcity, just wanting to completely turn away from it. So I started transitioning my business into the online space. And I was like, I'm just going to go for it on my own. I'm going to sell my services privately. I'm going to work one-on-one with women. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. I just got deeper and deeper into the mindset work and learning about emotional regulation and our nervous system and how important that is and how it all ties into business and making money. And so I just kind of ended up here, started calling myself a money mindset coach, and just kind of went for it.
I love it. Well, we're so glad you're here. And oh my gosh. So, one of the things that you said was just around self-sabotage. Can we talk about that a little
Oh
bit?
yeah.
Because I definitely see that a lot in my work. Um, why do you think it is that we self-sabotage?
It all comes down to the brain. Your
Mm.
brain is functioning in a way that is not serving you, but is also trying to protect you. You're not taking action because you don't feel safe doing it. And your brain comes up with all of these kind of excuses, and it keeps you really stuck in this identity and just says, no, we're not this person. We're not moving out of our comfort zone. It's not safe for us. And it's crazy how sneaky, really, really sneaky your brain is. And you can't be mad at it, because at one point it did serve us when we were not in a more civilized society, of course, but it no longer serves us,
Yeah.
especially as women trying to move forward in business. And a lot of times we are women stepping into not only the discomfort of running a business, but the discomfort of being in male dominated industries. And
Mhm.
so all of those things are coming up, and your brain's just kind of like, no, we're just not going to take action. And
We're not doing it. We're not doing
yeah,
it.
we're not doing it. And even sometimes moving past it with the mindset work, your body will actually feel it. I started a
Mhm.
podcast about 3 months ago, and I was really, really resistant to sharing just my truth, because a podcast is a lot more vulnerable than
Oh,
your
yeah.
written content. And I was really resistant to it. And finally, I would be like, okay, I'm doing it tomorrow. Like, I'm setting up all my stuff, I'm doing it tomorrow. And I would wake up and I would have a sore throat, and it would just
Mm.
be like these uncomfortable feelings and these beliefs are manifesting in my body. So yeah, self-sabotage is something that I see, long story short, I see everyone do it in some capacity, regardless of what it is, whether it's money, whether it's sales, whether it's getting started.
It's all oh my gosh. You talked about the sore throat. I remember this was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was supposed to be on, like, this television show. And again, really, this was also at a time when I was shifting more into this work around sales and, my philosophy around sales, my approach, and all this good stuff. And I literally woke up with no voice. Like leading up to it, I was starting to get sick. And then I was like, I have no voice. Like, you cannot interview me because
We
you
can't push
cannot
through.
hear me. Right. But I never made the correlation around the self-sabotage piece. I just kind of chucked it up to, oh well, like I just got
It
sick, it's
happens.
allergies, whatever. But it's so rare. It's rare that I lose my voice. It's rare, that I get sick. So I really appreciate you sharing that insight to help us connect those dots because we don't always make those
Yeah, we don't.
connections.
We don't. And that's just part of our conditioning. It's all in the programming. We're not trained from a young age to look for these things. We're not trained to tune into our body. We're trained to just do what we're told to do, go to work, make money, have a 401k, retire, and, carry on about the rest of your days. And when you start really looking deeper and doing mindset work, you realize a lot of things that have been self-sabotage in your life,
Wow.
not just in your business, but in your life as a whole.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So as we think about self-sabotage, we think about the fear, we think about especially
Mhm.
conditioning. I love that you brought that up because a lot of times, especially us as women in the US, we've been conditioned a certain way, and it's
Mhm.
really hard to shift out of that. What are some practical ways or ways that maybe you even help your clients to start making those shifts or even well, let's start with awareness because I think before we can make the shifts, we have to be aware. So let's start like,
Absolutely.
how can we be more aware that there is a challenge around money mindset where you would be like, let's talk about your money mindset. What are some of the things that we should pay attention to?
I think just digging into, first of all, what are you saying about money?
Mhm, mhm.
When you are around your friends or you're around your family or you're talking to your spouse, what are some of the things that you're saying about money? If you're saying like, "Ugh, I blew a tire on the way home from work. Of course, now I have to pay for this. It always happens to me. I'm so broke." You really start paying attention to those patterns, because a lot of times when we've said something so much, we don't even realize that we're actively choosing to say that. We're just
Mhm.
saying it because that's what we've always said, and if we've said, I can't afford that, or I'm broke, or that's too risky, or you take care of the money stuff, I'll take care of the house stuff. Whatever we've said on this repetitive basis, we've like trained our brain to believe that. And a lot of times it comes from deep beliefs like in childhood and what we've witnessed growing up. So I think having someone who can hold you accountable for your language, for the things that you're saying, can really help you start to challenge it. because when you start saying things like I'm broke or whatever your choice of words is, having someone challenge you and say, why? Why do you think
Mhm.
that? I can't charge high ticket in my business. No one wants to buy money mindset services. No one wants to buy this. Why? Why do
Right.
you believe that? Where is this stemming from? What example have you had that has enforced this belief? Because a lot of
Yeah.
times it's not that things are true or untrue. I think that
Mhm.
it's all about perspective, and everyone has their own unique perspective. So if you can change that to better serve you,
Yeah.
you can do that.
I love it. And what are some ways that we can start to shift that? Because I see it in sales. It's funny, as you were talking about, what are some of the things you're saying? Launching a sales agency. I know I was like, well, no one wants to talk to the salesperson, right? And
Mhm.
I really had to start shifting that and really working around my own mindset issues around that because obviously people need to talk to me in order for me to sell.
Right.
So what are some of the things that we can do to start to really shift the narrative, shift that conversation, that internal conversation that we're often having with ourselves?
I think a big one that I always hear everyone recommend is journaling.
Oh,
I
love journaling.
personally I personally don't have the patience for journaling.
Things like, girl, I don't have
Yeah.
patience for that.
I'm more of like a talk it out kind of gal,
Okay.
but I think anything that you can do to open that dialogue and start bringing awareness and start challenging, those things. Because, like you said, the awareness is the huge key. Like, it's not
Mhm.
necessarily someone telling you, like, hey, I see this and you have a money mindset issue. It's you connecting the dots and saying, oh, I believe what I believe about money because this is what my dad has told me since I was 3 years old.
Mhm.
So bringing awareness in the sense of the fact that you're connecting the own pieces of your life and you're understanding where your own beliefs come from, it really helps lose its power. Those beliefs that aren't serving you, it helps them lose their power when you kind of shine the light on them. There's a comparison that I always make, and it's so powerful. You know how when you're a child, think back to when you're little, you're laying in your bed, you're scared to sleep by yourself, all the lights are turned off and you see something in the corner and it's like a shadow or it's like a funky shape and you like your heart starts racing, you start sweating and you're like, "Oh my god, like that is a person over there, that is a monster." You're irrationally afraid.
Mhm.
And then you call your mom, she comes in, she turns on the light and you just see like, "Oh, that's just a jacket."
Yep.
It's just a jacket hanging on. And so I call it like shining the light on your beliefs because when you shine the
Mhm.
light on where they've come from, it really allows you to kind of take it less personal, approach the situation with a curiosity versus, embodying that as your truth, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. You can kind of be apart from the belief and just kind of be the observer
I like
versus
that.
saying, this is me, this is what I believe. You say, oh, wow, so this thought pattern came from this belief from my childhood, but I don't have to actively believe that.
Mhm.
It kind of gives you a sense of like independence, like, oh, wow, okay, now that I know where that came from, now I can start to change it and be my own person and have my own belief about money.
I love that. That is so good. So good. When you think about our beliefs around money, because I know from my perspective, a lot of times it's definitely from the business, but it obviously money impacts every single area of our lives. So when you think about the impact, what is the impact of us not addressing our money mindset issues?
Honestly, so much. Like for me, I really started on my self-development journey with money mindset. It's really
Mhm.
strange, but like I started with that really specific goal of like, I need to change how I feel about money. But I feel like it really leaks over into every other place of our life. It leaks over into our relationships, it leaks over into your marriage, it leaks over into your business, how you price your services, it leaks into
Mhm.
how you set boundaries with your clients. Like it really just affects so much and it affects how we parent. I don't know if you're a mom, but I have a whole new outlook on how I talk about money in front of my
Mhm.
kids
Mhm.
now that I've done that work. And so the good thing about it is, even when you start focusing on your money mindset, you're learning tools and you're disrupting thought patterns that are going to help serve you in other places of your life. So even if you're digging into your money beliefs and you're working on your money story, you can still use those same processes to tackle other limiting beliefs. It doesn't have to be just about money, but other than the fact that it affects our finances as a whole,
Yeah.
whether or not we attain financial freedom, and it's actually freedom versus financial freedom. I have all the money, but I'm chained to a desk. But
Right.
yeah, it affects everything.
I love that. I love that you brought up just the children because,
Mhm.
becoming a mom, I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I can tell you that shifted everything. Like, I'm a lot more aware,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
around how I talk about everything, not just money, but it's like because I
Yeah,
don't want to pass on, any of the negative stuff. I just want her to
exactly.
get all the goodness.
Exactly. When you're disrupting that pattern of scarcity with money or
Yeah.
all of those negative thoughts and beliefs, you're not just changing it for you. And I think that's powerful and helps us connect with other moms, because we all have that goal of like where we want to
Oh, yeah.
leave everything better than we found it. We want to take generational curses and, change them for our kids. And I think that it's so huge when you're talking about your kids. I shared something on Instagram the other day, and it was about the healing that we have to do as entrepreneurs.
Mm,
How we have to
nice.
really do a lot of inner healing when we become business owners. And it's something a lot of people don't realize until you step into the space.
Right? You're like, I
But
didn't realize I was gonna have to do all this extra work.
exactly, exactly. I'm like, I thought I was just gonna, hop online and work from my couch. I didn't think I was gonna have to
Right.
do all this really hard stuff. But I shared something about my kids, and I was thinking, they need to see mom like relentlessly pursuing her dreams.
Yeah.
But imagine if they did not have to heal from the things that she did. Like, we have to
Mhm.
work on charging our worth and setting high prices and like feeling worthy of making our own money and keeping it and having a lot of it and being okay with that. And imagine everything that my daughter could accomplish if
Yes,
she did not have to heal those patterns. There's
absolutely.
really like, they could accomplish so much if we will break these generational curses now.
Yes.
Then who knows how things will change by the time they're our ages.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. One of the things that I teach around sales, especially, for newer business owners that are really kind of wrap their brains around, I don't want to do sales, but I want to do my
Mhm.
thing. Is I'm just
Right.
like, sales helps you generate revenue, right? Like, we need money in our businesses, cash flow in order to do the things that we need to do. And, some of the things we want to do outside our business, right? But then from that, then it enables you to get support or hire a team. And when you have team and you're no longer superwoman trying to do all these things,
Mhm.
then it buys you time freedom, right? And then, like you said, especially whether or not you have children, time freedom is a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah.
But especially I think when you have children, it just really frees you up. And it's
Oh, yeah.
one of the reasons why a lot of us started businesses was
Mhm.
for some sort of freedom.
Yeah.
And then you start to have kiddos, or you had the kiddos first. And now you're like, oh my goodness, I get to have all this extra time. But to your
Exactly.
point around not passing along any of the curses and all this, our trauma and all our baggage, is the legacy piece. And I think it's not just, legacy from a perspective of we have this business that we could potentially pass to another generation. But, like you said, I've done all this work in my journey of becoming an entrepreneur and staying an entrepreneur and building this business, that I get to pass that along to my
Mhm.
children. And then also just the options, because now they know they have
Yeah.
options. Like, for
Opportunity.
me, when I was growing up, it was, I had the one, go to college, get a job. Like, no one was really talking about starting a business and doing this
Yeah.
other thing. And
Same.
so I really love that, because I think, like you said, you become an entrepreneur. So if you're not yet an entrepreneur, spoiler alert, it's more than just about building a business. There's a
Yep.
lot of internal work that goes into
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my goodness. That is so good, Peyton. Oh my gosh. I just hope everyone really lets all the mamas just let that sink
Lets it
in, right?
sink in. Yeah.
Yeah. Let it sink in. So let's talk about, some of the rewards. Like I feel like that's one of them, right? Like there is definitely the reward of our kiddos not having to deal with the things that we had to deal with. I always tell mine, like, girl, go make some new mistakes. I made my own. Don't repeat the ones I've made. Go make some new ones.
Absolutely.
But what are some of the other rewards as you think about the money mindset and really doing the healing to have a good relationship with money? So, what are some of the rewards that we can look forward to experiencing?
Definitely the generational thing, definitely
Mhm.
generational curses. But I think a huge piece that plays into time freedom is not only being able to make enough money to sustain that time freedom, but breaking those patterns that keep you overworking anyway.
Ooh,
Because, like you said, there's some people out there who have $1 million businesses, but they're still feeling that scarcity.
yes.
And there's no amount of money in the world that's going to completely break you of that scarcity unless you confront it. So
Mhm.
you have to confront it and break that pattern. And I think another thing that happens when you do confront that scarcity around money is you confront the scarcity where time and money is related.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times, even when we have the money, even if we've had a record sales day, we don't just go kick our feet up on the couch.
No,
We're
we
like,
don't.
how can I get ahead? How can I do more? How can I have more? And a lot of times we're not even doing anything productive. You
Mm,
know,
mm,
we're just
mhm.
working because that's what's been instilled in us is you're not going to have enough money until you work hard, work hard, work hard, work hard. And
Yes.
so one thing that's changed for me is like even when I'm not making sales, even when I'm not making money, I still don't feel this incessant need to just work myself into the ground because I know that that's not going to change anything. What's going to change it is that strategy, the consistency in the strategy, and the mindset work. You know,
Yes.
that's what's
Mm,
going to change your business, not whether you spend 10 hours in front of the computer or 4 hours in front of the computer. So that's something that I see change with a lot of people is that they're able to finally just relax a little bit
I love
and
that.
kind of tune out of that like fight or flight and
Mhm.
really just enjoy the now.
And that's
Healing my
freedom.
relationship with money. Yes, not only the time freedom, but the emotional freedom.
Oh,
It has freed up so much time that I spent just spinning my wheels, just
yes.
worrying, just thinking, how can I get out of this situation? Or, it's created a lot more trust. And I think that making more money as a result is great. Having more time freedom as a result is great. But having that emotional freedom where you don't really feel like you're bound by something else, like it controls you, because that's what
Yes.
happens with a lot of us. We let the state that we're feeling about money control us and it influences our day and our relationships and how we function throughout the day. So not letting that have an influence on you
Yeah.
can free up so much emotional capacity and like creative energy will flow. So I think those are kind of some uncharacteristic things that people don't know they're going to get.
Mhm.
Start working on that money mindset.
Oh my gosh. Peyton, let me just say this. All I could think about when you were talking, I was like, emotional freedom is like priceless. Like, I get the time freedom. I want to go hang out, but
Mhm.
I actually physically feel lighter just thinking about, shifting that
Mhm.
conversation internally because I agree. I know me. It's like we did this one thing and I have friends and I'll be like, we supported a client or we did this and I'll say we only did whatever, some ridiculous amount in sales. And she'll be
Yep.
like, Nadia, what are you talking? Like you only,
You
and like
only
you said, we're not taking a moment to celebrate or go kick my feet up. I'm like, okay,
next.
what's next? Right. And it's
Yep.
like to have that emotional freedom that comes along with everything else is, oh my gosh, completely priceless.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
The presence.
This has been so good. I literally could talk to you all day, but I
I
know you
know.
have
Like
other
this is
things to
the
do.
conversation that I could just keep having and having and having.
I'm like, what about this? And what about this? So as we prepare to close, like, are there any final words of wisdom that you would share with business owners that are like, Payton, I hear what you're saying, and I just don't know if I can do this whole thing around shifting my money mindset? What would you share with them?
I would say to just go ahead and accept the fact that it is not A plus B equals C. I
Mhm.
think so many times, especially for really ambitious women, especially for high achievers, especially for entrepreneurs, we
Yep.
feel like we want to do this, this, and this. So we need to check this, this, and this off of our list.
Yep.
And the reality is that things around money are going to surface when you hit new income levels, or when you have to hire a team, or when you have to raise your prices. And I think that sometimes seeing a huge journey ahead of us just really makes us not even want to take the first step.
Yep.
But if
Agreed.
you can look at it, shift that perspective to the fact that this is an ongoing journey,
Mhm.
and that you can get something out of every present moment. I think that's really important to notate. It's not going to be something that you're just going to say, I need to get my money mindset all cleaned up. I'm going to do it. Okay, it's done. New things are going to surface from your childhood or from previous relationships, and new things are going to happen.
Yeah.
Like just a couple weeks ago, like our car got broken into, we got stolen from.
Oh,
And that is one thing that I would consider financial trauma. And
mhm.
so you can never stop these external circumstances that are going to have these imprints on you. So learning how to deal with that
Yeah.
is the key to consistently moving forward, the key to not letting money keep you stuck.
I love it. I love it. So, basically what Peyton said is you can't just listen to our conversation today and check the
And be
box
done.
that
Nope.
everything is all better with your money mindset. Sorry,
Yep.
not sorry. You're going to have to do some work here. So,
Yep.
Peyton, will you share with us, like, how can people stay connected? Or do you have any resources you'd like to share? We'll make sure these are all in the show notes, but I would really love people to connect with you to do the work with their money mindset.
Yeah, I do have some free resources. You can find pretty much everything at paytonmoran.com/link in bio. I just throw all my links up there and you can find pretty much everything I have. I do have a podcast called Wired for Wealth, where we talk about money in a conscious way, in a conscious conversation, and we work on rewiring our brain so that we can reach sustainable wealth. So I would love for you to check that out. I hang out mostly on Instagram, so you can pretty much find me camped out there. But yeah, I love to connect with people and just hear what juicy tidbits like did it for them. What was the thing that really got your wheels turning? So I'd
Yes,
love to hear back.
I love it. So, check out the podcast. Make sure the link is in the show notes. Go grab those resources and then let Peyton know what shifted for you as
Mhm.
you're on this journey. And like she said, it's not a one and done. I'm sorry, you can't just check the box. The continual process. So you'll want
Yep.
to have those resources and you'll want to stay connected. So as things come up, you now have a very valuable resource to help you move through. Thank you,
Mhm.
Peyton. Thank you so
Yes,
much for
thank you so
joining
much for
us.
having me. This was an inspiring conversation.
Yes, I was so excited when I found out. It was like, we got to have Peyton on the show. We have to talk about this. So, thank you all for joining us for another episode of Straight Talk About Sales. We'll see you again soon.